Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. China's new ethnic unity law has now officially taken effect, and it expands Beijing's ability to pursue individuals outside its borders if they are accused of undermining ethnic unity or promoting separatism. That phrase sounds bureaucratic, almost dull on paper, but the operational meaning is anything but. It pushes China's legal and political framework outward into the global system in a way that potentially touches diaspora communities, activists, journalists, foreign policymakers, and even private citizens who engage in politically sensitive speech tied to Tibet, Xinjiang, or Taiwan. Beijing is presenting it as internal governance, but multiple governments, and Taiwan in particular, are treating it as something closer to extraterritorial political enforcement. Taiwan's mainland affairs leadership described the scope as essentially borderless in practice, and that's where the concern really sits. Not in what the law says, but in how broadly it can be interpreted once it leaves China's borders. And you don't have to look far to see why that concern is rising. A Tibetan activist in New York died after self-immolating outside the United Nations headquarters, explicitly framing his protest around China's policies in Tibet. That incident is already circulating through diaspora communities and human rights networks, and it lands at the exact moment Beijing is formalizing a legal framework that touches those same populations. Whether intended or not, the timing creates a very sharp narrative collision between internal governance policy and global perception. Now layer Taiwan onto that same picture. Taipei is not treating this as symbolic. It is actively building institutional architecture to respond. The Executive Yuan has established a cross-agency coordination platform designed specifically to counter cross-border repression and legal pressure campaigns linked to China. That pulls together interior security, justice, and mainland affairs agencies into a single operational hub. The logic here is speed and coherence, because the concern is that pressure will not arrive as a single event, but as dispersed legal, financial, and political actions across multiple jurisdictions. At the same time, Taiwan is still managing the broader U.S. relationship at a very practical level. A senior Taiwanese delegation just completed high-level meetings in Washington with members of Congress and U.S. defense and executive branch officials. The tone of those meetings is important because it signals continuity and support, even as execution details remain politically complicated. One major item still hanging in the background is a delayed U.S. arms package valued at roughly $14 billion. That package has been politically approved in parts, but its pacing is now entangled in broader U.S. strategic prioritization decisions and diplomatic sequencing with China. So what you're seeing here is a dual track: Taiwan tightening internal defenses against external pressure, while simultaneously trying to lock in external security guarantees. Now, shift from diplomacy to military posture, and the Indo-Pacific picture gets more kinetic in a measured way. The Taiwan Strait remains active, but the pattern is what matters more than any single day's movement. Recent reporting shows dozens of Chinese aircraft operating around Taiwan, with a large portion crossing the median line into northern, central, and southwestern airspace zones. Alongside that, naval and government vessels continue operating around the strait in a sustained presence pattern. This is not new in the sense of surprise activity. What is notable is persistence. The PLA is maintaining consistent multi-domain pressure across air and maritime space, reinforcing a baseline environment where Taiwan must assume constant surveillance and response readiness. At the same time, there's a quieter but important political military signal coming out of the PLA leadership structure itself. Xi Jinping has overseen the promotion of new senior officers to general rank, while simultaneously continuing a broader discipline and anti-corruption campaign across military institutions. Officers tied to major command structures and supervisory bodies are being rotated or removed, while new appointments are elevated into key roles. The combination of promotion and purge is not random. It signals an effort to keep the system both loyal and tightly aligned with central authority while still maintaining operational continuity. And then there is the regional expansion layer, particularly the Philippines. The Philippines is upgrading strategic military infrastructure on key islands in the South China Sea region, including areas near contested waters and key maritime choke points. These upgrades include surveillance systems, helicopters, patrol aircraft, and radar improvements designed to increase maritime domain awareness and response capability. From Manila's perspective, this is modernization. From Beijing's perspective, it looks like a tightening arc of U.S.-aligned infrastructure that increases monitoring and response capability across contested maritime zones. Chinese strategic commentary around this development frames it as a broader containment architecture built through allied positioning rather than direct confrontation. Regardless of framing, the operational reality is that both sides are investing in presence, access, and persistence across the same maritime geography. Now step into the technology lane, because this is where competition is becoming more explicit. A reported internal restriction inside Alibaba has banned employees from using Anthropic's Claude code tool. The reasoning, according to reporting, ties into concerns around model security, user identification mechanisms, and an escalating dispute over alleged model extraction practices. Anthropic has accused Alibaba of attempting to distill capabilities from its systems, while Chinese firms are increasingly pushing toward domestic AI ecosystems and alternative open-source models. What matters here is not just corporate rivalry, it is fragmentation. AI development is no longer operating on a shared global platform. It is splitting into parallel ecosystems with different rules, access constraints, and security assumptions. That has downstream effects for everything from cloud computing to defense-related software development. Now widen back out to diplomacy. China's foreign minister has been active in Europe, including meetings in Denmark focused on trade, green shipping, and investment flows. The messaging is consistent. Stabilize economic ties even while strategic competition continues elsewhere. At the same time, Beijing is preparing for expanded engagement with African partners through upcoming high-level visits, reinforcing a long-standing pattern of sustained diplomatic outreach beyond the Indo-Pacific. On energy security, Chinese officials are also emphasizing the importance of keeping maritime choke points like the Strait of Hormuz open and stable. That framing is increasingly important given ongoing international discussions about transit arrangements and regional fee structures. China's positioning here is pragmatic. Keep energy corridors predictable, even in a more fragmented geopolitical environment. There is also a smaller but symbolically important signal in Hong Kong. 2 PLA Navy vessels recently arrived in Hong Kong waters for public visits. On the surface, this is routine port activity, but it also functions as visibility messaging, military normalization inside a major global financial hub that sits directly under Beijing's sovereignty model. Thanks for listening. If this was useful, a quick review or comment helps others find the show. For deeper coverage, check out our daily intel brief on Substack at restrictedhandling.substack.com. Have a great day.